I was listening to the radio the other day and someone came on and said that the transfer window for this summer has been extremely quiet and was wondering why that was. And when they said that, I thought, yeah, it has been very quiet. What's going on here? Well, there's a few factors at play and I wanted to talk about them, to be honest. The biggest one really for me is the fact that we've had both the European Championships and the Copa America this summer so far. I mean, both of these tournaments have now concluded, but at the start of the transfer window, they were very much going on. Now, obviously, to be able to sign a player, you want to talk to the player, you have to access them. I mean, yes, you have to go through their agent, obviously, but on the flip side of it, they still have to, the players still have to give their say, so they have to be spoken to about this. And I don't think it's totally unreasonable for a lot of these players to be like, yeah, I'll speak to you after the tournament, after the tournament's finished, because they want to spend 100% of their kind of concentration and their efforts really on doing as well as possible for their national team. Because, can you imagine, for example, I don't know, if Kieran Trippier got announced as a Man United player, like the day after England made it to the Euros semi-finals, it'd just be like, oh, well, clearly his efforts aren't being focused on England, that he got absolutely slaughtered in the media for it. And to an extent, rightfully so, although of course our media takes it far too far a lot of the time. We know what they're like, at least certain sections of it anyway. So I feel like that's a big reason for it. And that only ended a couple of weeks ago for both. So that's to both the best players in South America and the best players in Europe, which, truth be told, are in general the best players in the world, like the best two confederations by far, the only two confederations to ever win a World Cup. They are all involved with that. So that's probably why a lot of these transfers just didn't happen for a long time. On top of that as well, it takes time for these transfers to actually happen. It's definitely possible that a lot of these players would have been like, I'm not even going to speak to anybody right now whatsoever. I'm not even going to give a yes or no or a maybe until the tournament's finished. So it takes time to get these transfers done. There's a lot of different aspects to go through. It's not just their basic wage and the length of the contract, the two things that are often most reported. It's things like bonuses. Did they get a bonus for team of the week? Did they get a bonus for team of the season? Goal bonus, assist bonus. And there's all sorts. Players' contracts now are far more complicated than they've ever been before. There is so many different aspects to them. And that's all things that get done by the agent, of course, but the player has to have a say in that too. Even if it's a relatively quick, that's all good, they still have to be involved. So that takes a lot of time to kind of flesh out. And because of that, we're not seeing the transfers come through yet. There are some that have come through relatively recently, but even those, they're not big deals. And I've got a theory of this behind a lot of these deals not being that big. And of course, unfortunately, guys, it's down to PSR and FFP. Now, I spoke about this on the Football Chronicle. It was in the January transfer window, and why it was so quiet. Because if you remember the January transfer window at the start of the year, it was so quiet. You could hear a pin drop almost. On deadline day, it was unbelievable. The biggest deal was like a £20 million move. In years gone by, that would have been just like a footnote, but that was the main headline. Now, there are, of course, some clubs that have made some big deals. Manchester United have signed Xerxes in Euro, but even the most active clubs like Aston Villa have sold players. Diaby has left, and as has Douglas Luiz. They've both left because they have to balance the books for PSR. We've seen it with Newcastle as well. Even when a team is successful or trying to go for success, to buy players, they have to be offloading players as well. So because of that, a lot of players and a lot of clubs are probably choosing just to kind of stick with what they've got to an extent. Spurs have signed a South Korean winger for January. That's all they've done as far as I can tell. Chelsea have got a few coming through the door, but they're not big signings, even compared to the business they were doing when they were signing players like a certain Enzo Fernandez, who's in the headlines at the moment, for like £100 million. There's nothing like that. They're signing a Villarreal goalkeeper for like 20 million, an Argentine defender for about that too. That's chump change by Chelsea senders in recent seasons. So even they are finally starting to feel the brunt of FFP and PSR, And we've also seen that, these regulations are not a joke. Like they were in the past where Man City would just break them willy-nilly and take a fine, they didn't really care. But, if you break these now, you're going to get a points deduction, and that's what the clubs really care about. Fines, whatever, no problem. You've got the entire state of the UAE backing you for your Man City, that's not a problem. But points win prizes. Points can win championships and lose championships. That's where they really hurt. So that's why they're being very circumspect. I mean, again, you look at Man City, the one signing they've made is for a Brazilian winger who was already owned by the City Group. Has gone for like £30 million. Savinho, I think it is, isn't it? That's not a big signing by their standards. You know, they're on about signing Paqueta for nearly 100 million before his betting scandal came to light. So yeah, guys, those are just some theories of mine about why this transfer window is so quiet. I hope it livens up soon, but so far it's been really, really quiet by summer transfer window standards. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you happy with your club's business so far this window? If you're not, let us know. And of course, keep it subscribed here to thefootballchronicle.com to see much more football content just like this.